In today's show, Trailblazers fans share their 2025 NBA Draft Night wish list, who the Blazers should select, who to trade for, and more. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard, Trailblazers reporter Mike Richmond. You are listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same as Locked On Blazers, your team every day. Today's show, if you're an everyday listener, you know that yesterday I said that Keandre Ashley of Hoop Intellect on YouTube would join the program, but we had some scheduling challenges, and we're going to have to push that interview back a little bit. It's why sometimes I am a little bit wary of promising interviews that I haven't recorded yet because people have lives and they get in the way. So that show should be coming at some point in the future. In today's show, we're going to switch it up a little bit. I asked listeners what their wish list was for the Blazers on draft night. Blazers draft night dreams, either a player that the Blazers pick at 11 or something else that I termed as mildly plausible. And with the help of Blazer fans on social media, I'm going to bring you what I think are three kind of visions of a draft night dream. We will get into all of that with players to select, trades to make, and brought to you by your fellow listeners and fellow Blazers fans. The number one name, just at it seems to be Blazer internet consensus for a name that folks are enamored with. And admittedly, this is a small selective sample. This is like some sort of selection bias, all these things. This isn't meant to be uncontroversially true or what, this is obviously very, very subjective in so many different ways. But the number one name that seemed to pop up among Blazer fans is Cedric Coward at 11, the 6'5" wing who played most recently at Washington State, but started his collegiate career at none other than Willamette University in Salem. Go freaking Bearcats, according to Bill Oram of the Oregonian. Coward paid his way to play D3 hoops because I don't give scholarships like that at that level. And Coward was immediately too good to stay at the D3 level, transferred to Eastern Washington where he played 2 years in the Big Sky, and then from there transferred to Washington State where an injury cut short his season in what would have been the WCC, the West Coast Conference. Played just 6 games for the Cougars at Washington State, and then he was set to transfer to Duke, right? He was going to go play, I'm not going to disparage Duke here, but let's just say he was going to play at a university that I don't care for, but, they've produced some pros. Instead, though, his star kind of rose too much this summer to make college a reasonable path. He measured really well at the combine, a +7 wingspan, measured about 6'5" barefoot with a 7'2" wingspan. Had some good measurables in terms of athleticism, shot it pretty well, and you put that on there, you put all of that together with this tape, and it's like, yeah, this dude's going to be a top 20 pick. And Coward made the decision that being a top 20 pick was more valuable to him based on his journey thus far at age 21 than to go, try to hack it at Duke. And perhaps he just didn't want to stay on campus with a stupid fake Gothic architecture, just the worst color blue. He just made the right decision for a young man. Go Tar Heels. In any case, Cedric Coward's name came up. Mountain or MTN told me when I posed this on social media that was the pick. Julio says, draft Cedric Coward or trade the pick. There's only one choice. Ian, that's Ian Carmel, to name drop real quick from Beaverton, Oregon, top of the food chain where champions are made. And 20,000 Thorns all think Cedric Coward is the selection. Real quick on Ian Carmel. I'm not sure he's listened to the program. I know that at times he has listened. But Ian is just a smart, charismatic person who is so freaking charming and charismatic that he became the Blazers celebrity fan. Your dreams do come true. You can go from a Westview High School like above average offensive lineman to a legitimate funny person who writes on all the award shows, and you can parlay that with a little bit of charisma and intelligence into like being the celebrity fan for your hometown team. Shout out to Ian. But all of those folks, among a couple others who had some varying ideas, but Coward seems to be the name that comes up most frequently. My thoughts here on Coward are he's like, I have no doubt in my mind, the little bit of the breakdowns I've watched of him. Shout out to Keandre Ashley of Hoop Intellect for a really good breakdown recently on Cedric Coward, and talking to Raphael Barlow, who has had Coward as a first round talent since the fall, since before his season started at Washington State, and certainly shortly thereafter in his publicly disclosed boards and early season mocks. Like, I've no doubt Coward is an NBA player. He is, I like to say, shaped like an NBA player. 6'5" with super long arms. One of the best indicators for NBA players, this story back in the New York Times, I believe 4 or 5 years ago, was that a plus wingspan was probably the thing that united, that was like the easiest to say that this is like the physical attribute that most NBA players have. Super long arms. He's a pretty good athlete. He's a pretty good shooter. He seems to be the sort of prototypical NBA wing and athletic profile. I think the question is, like, what is his reasonable ceiling? This would be the only pushback you'd have against it. Like, why he isn't like an absolute lock of all locks to be at 11 or even higher than that, right? Why, like in most professional prognosticators' predictions, he's something like late teens. You know, he's something like 16 to 20 in most mocks. Obviously, his range could be anywhere a little higher than that, but I think like for the most part, you see Coward like the very end of the lottery to about 20. That's still a first-round draft pick. That's still guaranteed money. Again, I think he's an NBA player, just a little bit I've watched of him. But I think the sort of the concerns here and why he's not like an absolute deadlock to go 8th or whatever is because he doesn't have a ton of self-creation ability. That means the sort of, or hasn't shown that, I should say. He hasn't shown the ability to like give him the rock, let him get loose and dribble towards the rim. The sort of upside to do that, right? And I don't think he's shown this like off the charts athleticism that you say like, well, he doesn't have the skills, but how many dudes his size move like that? Good athlete. Pretty good offensive player, pretty good shooter. And I think while he profiles as like a good defender, I don't think he's like an A1 top tier defensive prospect where it's like, well, this dude could guard the best player on the court at any time. Certainly he did that a little bit, particularly at Eastern Washington. But that's just a different level of competition with all due respect to the Big Sky than the NBA. That's a big jump. And he wasn't like this elite like defensive prospect on film. He is a good defender. He is a good offensive player. And I think there is some hope that because of the path he took from like a late bloomer type of thing where there's more to add to his game. And even though he's maybe a little bit older than guys who have played as much college basketball as he has, because of his like developmental path, there's more, there's more stuff to sharpen. There's more stuff to add to his bag. If he was a dude who could create his own shot and like get loose off the bounce, if he was a dude who profiled as one of the, hey, this is the best or second best defender in this class, right? If he had elite athleticism, that's VJ Edgecombe. Like that's just like a different thing. With it, you say, oh, it's VJ Edgecombe with a little more shooting, right? Then you are the 4th pick in the draft. If not, he's more like. That's why he's in the teens, like that's why he's the place where he is. I guess what the Blazers will be weighing when they are on the clock, assuming they're on the clock at 11 and Coward is still available, is do they swing for someone with a little more of the upside skills that they covet, right? Like a little more playmaking, a little more ball handling, the ability to like get where you need to go, because another kind of like wing with not a lot of wiggle doesn't seem to be like, Jabari Walker, Chris Murray, Toumani Camara to some extent. Like, it's like, do they need another dude who like can't really do it on their own, but it has some complementary stuff? Are they looking for a guy who profiles as like, hey, we even think his floor is like really useful complementary wing, or do they aim like swing a little bit higher? And that's like why, at least in the mock that I did for the Mocked On, and as you see on ESPN's most recent mock draft, like Kasparas Jakubonis is the name there, because it's like, yeah, Jakubonis is a guy who can create his own shot, shoot off the dribble. He can really pass. Like if he hits his upside, if he hits his most positive outcomes, obviously there's a lot to like. Like this is potentially like a really special type of addition to with the versatility and the skill set. Coward probably has a cleaner path to being a long-term pro because of his physical attributes and his build. And I understand the appeal. How fun is it to get a guy who started at Willamette and ended up on the Blazers? That is undeniable. And my sort of query here to pose this on social media was not like, send me your most sort of like cold-brained GM take. It was, send me your Blazers draft day dreams. And so I'm not surprised that when Blazer fans cook up their draft day dreams, and I know a friend of the program, Andrew, is also a big Cedric Coward believer. Shout out to you, Andrew, if you're listening out there. Like, it is that you want to root for stuff. You want to have a player you like. And I think Coward is, like I said, I'm very comfortable with him. I bet he'll be an NBA player for a long time. But it's like maybe not the like, maybe he profiles as a complementary part, and is that the swing the Blazers take? That's maybe why he's a little bit further down, because he doesn't have all of the juice. But if he does develop some of that juice, and he does develop a little bit as a defender, then it's like, yeah, now you've got like Herb Jones with a crossover, and boy, is that a good basketball player. Okay, how about a trade to get the Blazers free from some of the things they own the thing they owe to the Chicago Bulls? A draft pick in the future that is still held out to Chicago. How about an idea that frees up the Blazers from that commitment? That's what we'll talk about in the second segment with more Blazers draft daydreams. Join me in that second segment. First, though, let's talk Game Time. It's a place for last-minute tickets. You are listening to Wednesday, June 18th show. We've got Game 6 of the NBA Finals on Thursday, and if we get a Game 7, inshallah, we will end up with 2 chances to buy last-minute tickets to NBA games. And there's no better place than to buy last-minute tickets than with Game Time. They help you make lasting memories because they got killer last-minute deals. Plus, they got panoramic seat views and no surprise fees. Game Time is a total game changer when it comes to purchasing tickets, when it comes to finding tickets to the sporting events you want to go to. If you are not in the range to go to Oklahoma City or Indianapolis for your last minute tickets, you can also buy tickets wherever you live, like here in Portland, where on Saturday, the Portland Thorns play a soccer match, and you can get in the building right now on Game Time. As I looked at the app just before I hit record on this, $23 to get in the building, $55 to sit downstairs right next to the Riveters section on the north end and the supporters section. You can splurge for nicer tickets if you want, and if you wait closer to kickoff, Game Time is going to hook you up with even better deals, sometimes as much as 60% off the list price when you wait close to tip-off and kickoff in this case. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download that Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA. You get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, you create an account and you use that redeem code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app. Do it today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, still continuing on with Blazers draft dreams. I put this out on social media and I said, send me your Blazers draft day dreams, a player they pick or something else that is mildly plausible on draft night. Obviously, like, there's part of me that wants to do like a totally impossible plans, dreams, everyone dream your biggest dreams. But I don't think that's maybe an appropriate show. That's better bar conversation, or, we share a cup of coffee and as the caffeine flows through us, we dream of Giannis Antetokounmpo and Victor Wembanyama donning the pinwheel in the Pacific Northwest. But this was sent in by a listener, or at least a responder who calls themselves on social media a Blazers fan. That's a very straightforward name. You know what you're getting on social media when someone with the moniker a Blazers fan responds. And a Blazers fan offered this: dreaming big here. Portland trades pick number 11 to Chicago. Chicago trades pick number 12 and amends the protections of the lottery protected first, so it becomes a second after 2027 if it doesn't convey instead of 2028. And the Blazers avoid the nightmare scenario of not owing their pick to Chicago in 2028 and missing out on the ability to swap with the Milwaukee Bucks. I like the creativity here. I do. Because if the Blazers say, like, you do your due diligence, right? You get to the board is a living thing, right? Like, you've built your board all off season, and then it happens on draft night. You get to pick 10. You're kind of figuring out through back channels, hey, Chicago, who do you want? Who you want? Okay, you really want, let's just like throw a name out there, Derek Queen, right? They're desperate for Derek Queen, and Queen is available, and the Blazers say, well, hey, we're going to take Derek Queen because we like him too, but if you're willing to make a trade, you can trade up, get the draft rights to Queen, we'll trade back to 12, Chicago's at 12, Blazers at 11. You could trade up, you can get the draft rights to Queen, we'll trade back to 12 and get who we want. Cedric Coward, obviously. By doing so, we will amend the future pick protections. Now, what are these future pick protections, you may ask? Because you might not remember the extremely hubristic trade that led the Blazers to sending out a basically forever lottery protected pick for Larry Nance Jr., but as a part of a 3-team trade that included Derek Jones Jr. and Lauri Markkanen. Whoops! Listen, Lauri didn't pop in Cleveland. It didn't exactly work, but Lauri did get turned into Donovan Mitchell, so blah, 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 blah. But the Blazers in that deal acquired Larry Nance Jr., who I at the time thought it was a really good deal, and for what they were trading, thought it was pretty good value, because I thought the small ball passing defense, like this is like at the time I appraised this deal as like, yeah, pretty reasonable. This is a fine move, but the problem was that it was lottery protections. This was in the summer of 2021. The lottery protections on the pick said the Blazers owed a lottery protected pick to the Bulls. So the Blazers, once the Blazers make the playoffs, they would send a pick that's 15 and beyond to the Chicago Bulls, and it was protected through 2028. Oh my goodness. But at the time, the Blazers had Damian Lillard, they had CJ McCollum, they had made the NBA playoffs for 8 consecutive seasons, and maybe 9 consecutive seasons, maybe a decade, a lot. I could do the math off my head, but something like that, something like 9 consecutive seasons, right? And they were adding another good player to a playoff caliber roster. There was no reason to think this thing was going to blow up. It was hubris to not change the pick protections, but at the time, it didn't seem that wild. It just seems that wild now because everything blew up. Neil Olshey got fired. Damian Lillard got injured. They tanked the following seasons. Damian Lillard got traded. They're not a playoff level team, and now they're just hanging over them. They owe this pick to the Bulls. So the proposal here is not to say this is this squashes the what is owed. It just says now the deal is if the Blazers do not convey the pick to the Bulls, so make the playoffs in 26, 27, 28, and give the pick to the Bulls, then if they change it just a year early. It says if the Blazers don't make the playoffs in either 26 or 27, the Blazers give up a 2027 first to Chicago. Or 2027 second to Chicago, because if the Blazers don't convey it by 2028, it ends up being 1 second-round pick to the Bulls. I like this as a construction. I really do. I like this as a construction. I'm not sure I follow the back half of the logic, though, to be quite honest, because it says the Blazers, this is from Blazers fan, this is the language, it says Blazers avoid the nightmare scenario of not owing their pick to Chicago in 2028 and missing out on the ability to swap with Milwaukee. But here's the logic that would allow this situation to come about. The Blazers would have to miss the playoffs in 2026, they'd have to miss the playoffs in 2027, then they would have to make the playoffs in 2028 with a significant, or at least a better record than Milwaukee, such that the swap in and of itself would be appealing. But the Bucks maybe are unlikely to trade Giannis Antetokounmpo and play in the Eastern Conference. If the Blazers are not a playoff team in each of the next 2 years, which would have to happen under this scenario, we think that they're going to not only jump into the playoffs in 2028, but have a significantly better record than Milwaukee then. When Giannis Antetokounmpo will be 34, I guess. It seems like this is it's the word nightmare, I guess, is what I'm quibbling with. I can't imagine, I'm having trouble imagining a lot of likely scenarios where the Blazers are a non-playoff team in each of the next 2 seasons and then are a playoff team in 2028, and it's all fated for Milwaukee such that they're like a lottery team. Obviously, if the Bucks trade Giannis, that really changes the calculation. They're going to get probably worse in a hurry, right? Because he's one of the best players in the NBA. And it's hard to, usually when you trade superstars, you don't get back the commensurate value, to use a Neil Olshey term. Shout out to Neil's hubristic trade that got us in this mess anyways. I appreciate the content, Neil. Yeah, I like the construction of this. I like the idea of it, but I think you just do it because it gets you out of the sort of the debt sooner. It would clear up the debt sooner. I don't think the Blazers need to unlock those picks in any meaningful way. They don't need to chase it. I don't think they should make any moves to try to prioritize unlocking those picks to like make some big trade. More on that in a moment. But like I like the idea of swapping in order to kind of change those deals. Swaps sometimes are extremely valuable. Sometimes you exercise them, are extremely valuable. But I think over the like recent history, typically the teams that make these swap agreements end up not exercising them because the team that got the team that was good stays a little bit better, and you end up not wanting to, you're at 11 and they're at 19, and you're like, well, we're not going to flip, we're not going to make that trade, we're not going to make that swap, we're not going to exercise it. The appeal of having that on the table, I think, is really valuable, and the appeal of, or not really valuable, it has some value, and the appeal of just like not owing the Bulls picks into the future, so you can so you have more flexibility to make moves should you want to make those moves, I think has appeal. And so I'm really into the construction of this trade, but the logic of why it's important to make, I don't think I share. But if we ended up at the same spot, I don't think how we got there matters so much. But I do think in general, the logic of how this works is the part of me that interests trades. So I'm into it. Thanks, a Blazers fan, for sharing that one. Okay, how about bringing home one of Portland's long lost sons? I got a big time trade proposal to share with you in that third segment. Join me there. First, though, I want to tell you that today's program is brought to you by none other than Olipop. Oh, listen to that pop. If you're a soda drinker, you know that soda is just not very healthy for you. And Olipop, like this one I'm rocking here, the strawberry vanilla flavor, it's just a better alternative. There's 2 to 5 grams of sugar and 9 grams of prebiotic fiber in every can of Olipop, including this cherry vanilla right here. It has 3 grams of sugar and freaking 9 grams of dietary fiber. That's a third of your daily fiber in a soda. So if you are thinking about replacing your, say, Coca-Cola habit, a Coca-Cola has 39 grams of sugar. An Orange Fanta has 44 grams of sugar. This thing has 3, plus it tastes great. So if you are a soda drinker or just someone looking for a yummy beverage, why not check out Olipop? And you can get a free can of Olipop. Just buy any 2 cans and they'll reimburse you for 1. Here's what you do. You head to drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA to claim your free can and find an Olipop near you. That's drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA. Still a pass versus point guard. Still Mike Richmond. Still listening to Locked On Blazers. Still running through Blazers fans' draft day dreams, as shared with me on social media. Sam, this one comes from Sam, who offers this. The Blazers should use the number 11 pick to bring Domantas Sabonis home. Portland's long-lost son, baby Sabas, or as he goes by, Domas. Bring him home. I appreciate the bold take here, right? I would say, broadly speaking, not for me. That might be not broad. That might be acutely speaking. That might be very narrow. Not for me. This isn't what I would do. But let's talk about it, because I think there's appeal here to... I am one man, right? I think my... I'd like to sort of tease out the logic of my opinions. The sort of like... the final validity of my preferences is not that important. So, trading for Domantas Sabonis. Let's ignore the package for right now, like the specifics of the package. I think it is what this move would make. We'll get to the specifics in a moment, but what this move would mean is that the Blazers are they're hitting the gas. They're hitting the gas, and I wonder if, and I don't know if the franchise shares this, right? Because I think their appetite for taking a step back is probably somewhat limited, although I think we will have a lot more clarity on what that looks like over the next week or so, probably month, more accurately, over the next 5 weeks. But this would mean you're hitting the gas, right? You're trading for an all-star level player. He's made the all-star team in the West. He's made the all-star team in the East. He's probably one of the 5 best centers in the NBA. the distance between him and say like Nikola Jokic is pretty significant. But I think he's a top 5 player at his position. I'm not a big Sabonis guy. Like recognizing that he's very good and very talented, good passer and really really strong and like can be a beast on the glass because of his strength. His limitations are real, such that it is hard to build a really, really good team around Sabonis. Could you build a good team? Yeah, the Kings won 48 games one year with Sabonis, right? Like, yes, but like, is he sort of the guy you would cash it in on? Not for me, although I can understand the appeal. I understand his last name. I didn't grow up here. I don't have. I moved to Portland in the 21st century. I lived here for about 20 years now, but like, 19 if you want to get technical. But like this wasn't in the way that I hate Duke. If you recall from the first segment, I don't have that same like deep childhood personal connection to Arvydas Sabonis. So like I'm not this is different for me than for some folks who have it like in their blood and they want to see Sabonis back in Jersey. I get that and I acknowledge that. But for me, it's like the sort of practical basketball stuff he's hard to build like a high-end winner out of because he's not a rim protector and he's never going to be that, right? He's not a rim protector. He's a center who doesn't really protect the rim. In fact, the Kings used him to best effects under Mike Brown's tutelage when they were an above average defense with Brown. They used him just chasing away from the rim. They had him hedge way out far from the basket. They used his instead of having him be a rim protector, they used him in more aggressive schemes to kind of get him away from the rim. They kind of said, you'll see the Nuggets kind of do this with Jokic sometimes. It's like, we'd rather have you be big and in the way further from the rim than not quite enough in the way back protecting the rim, right? Like we'll build our scheme around some of your limitations. Sabonis also isn't a great shooter, and I think we saw that in the playoffs play out a little bit. It's just like they dared him to shoot even from 17 feet, and he wasn't comfortable doing that enough. I know he shot really well from 3 percentage-wise this year, but it's such low volume. And if you watch him, nobody cares about it. It's like I think the number that Nate Duncan likes to say is 4 3-point attempts a game from a center. I probably think it might even be higher. You'll recall like when Yusuf Nurkic even shot above average from 3 for the Blazers. He took only open ones because nobody cared. It just doesn't change the geometry. It's very different. And even if they go in relatively low volume and not changing the geometry doesn't add as much value. The point of threes is to leverage that. Like the point of taking threes in the modern NBA is to leverage that into getting layups. And if you can't make the other team worry about you at the arc, you don't get space to make those layups. That said, like Domantas Sabonis would help. The Blazers would be better with him on the roster. I guess the question is how much better. And then I think there's 2 other things. Is this the time to hit the gas, right? Because if you make this trade, you are fully pot committed into being good. You are saying like, okay, like you don't make this trade and say like, yeah, fine, we'll finish 10th again this year. You have to say we're gonna be a team that tries to get top 6 in the West. Do you have the guns to finish top 6 in the West, like with this group? And then what do you have to give up? So like, you say it's 11, but like, can you keep, like, if you could just trade Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant and DeAndre, like some combination of Ant, Jeremy and DeAndre Ayton for Domantas Sabonis at 11, like, sure. Great. But that's not what the Kings are going to want. If they make this trade, they're going to want young players and prospects and all those things. So you're talking about a Scoot Henderson deal or a Shaedon Sharpe deal. Is Scoot and 11 for Domas even enough capital to make that happen? I don't know. Hard to know. That's kind of not the point of this exercise. I think this is like an interesting dream because I think some fans, and I think this is important for me to recognize because I don't think this and I need to respect the varying opinions that exist out there. Some fans are just tired of the Blazers sucking and want them to try to get good and go for it now. They want them to be a team that cares about making the play-in, cares about making the playoffs and absolutely doing that as soon as October of 2025 and making those steps forward. And the franchise might share that opinion. I don't know that I don't think the Blazers need to outright tank, but I don't know that I care about them like trying to be good this year. If they are good, great, but I don't think they should make. I don't think they should have like the play-in mind with some of the moves they make, which is why I don't love this Domas thing. I don't love the Domas thing in sort of larger holistic idea because I don't think it's time to hit the gas, and I don't love it in specifics because I'm not a big Sabonis believer. But I do like it as a dream. What do you want? I want a player I want to root for on the team that makes the team better. I think that's a good dream to have as a fan. Might be not my cup of tea, but we don't have to share cups of tea. We can sit on opposite sides of the whole tea house and drink whatever flavor tea we want. So those are the dreams. Draft Cedric Coward. Make a deal to get off the owed pick from the Chicago Bulls and make a swing to get an all-star level player. I like it. These are draft day dreams. Let's see what the Blazers end up doing on draft day. Hold on real quick. Safe bet over 3, right? Safe bet none of this happens. That's the fun part about predicting. As it's like all fake trades are all like fan-inspired fake trades are very unlikely. Fan-inspired draft ideas are unlikely. It's like no one's pitching Desmond Bain and 4 firsts. We wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that from the comfort of your couch. But that's the kind of stuff that happens in real life. But I do think these are a good snapshot of what some Blazer fans enjoy. If you've got something else that you want or that you would classify as a Blazer draft day dream and you are watching on YouTube, leave it in the comments below. Or if you're an audio listener, you can always email me, lockedonblazerspod@gmail.com. You actually can email me no matter how you consume the podcast. I appreciate you listening. Come back for tomorrow's show 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts. Also on YouTube. Apologies that this one came out a little bit late, but that's just a scheduling snafu stuff. Tell your friends about the program. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.